Hey folks, Dr. Mike Israetel here for Renaissance Periodization, Strength Training Made Simple, number 10. When and how should you deload during strength training? So, first up, maybe we don't need to deload all the time. There is a situation in which you can use a simpler approach just for one session at a time if you go a little bit too far with the fatigue in that session or for that movement pattern, like for your squat or just your deadlift or just your bench, so on and so forth. So from the Strength Training Made Simple's last video, number 9 on progression, every week you add some weight and you keep reps the same, and you keep sets the same or add them, generally roughly the same. So going up in weight, that gets tough at some point. At some point from that process, a two-part process, just training that hard all the time and going harder and harder every single time, the cumulative fatigue will start to get pretty crazy and you just won't be able to beat your prior performance anymore. Your performance is going to plateau and even dip down a little bit. You're going to show up one day and have a bad session which you just don't hit your planned numbers, sometimes not even close. What do? Well, if the rest of your body feels fine, like if this happens on the bench press and it's really just your pushing muscles that are feeling it, systemically you feel fine, like you feel okay, your legs feel recovered, you had a great squat workout yesterday, so on and so forth. Maybe you don't need to just take a whole week and deload, or it might be like week 3 of a 6-week progression. You're like, I'm not just going to deload. It's just a problem for this particular session. So here's what you do. Since your fatigue in that session is really high and it probably accumulated a bit too fast, you got to deal with it somehow. What you're going to do, first, finish that session strong. Just try to do your best. And if it's really high RPE, that's okay. Just try to kill it as much as possible. Now, for the next session of that muscle group and that movement pattern. So for example, if you train pushing muscles Monday and Thursday and your Monday didn't go so hot, finish as strong as you can on Monday. Then on Thursday, what you do is you come in and you do all the planned sets, all the planned reps you were going to do, but at 1/2 of the planned weight. So if you had 5 sets of bench for sets of 5 at 100 pounds, now you do 5 by 5 at 50 pounds. What? That's super easy. That's the whole point. It brings your fatigue down like crazy while letting you work a lot on technique. And actually, technical work tends to recover you sometimes even better than complete rest. What you'll do is that session will be super easy, and all the assistance work too, you do the same thing. The whole session's easy. You don't want to make up for it on really hard assistance work. So if you finish your benches, now you have dumbbell press. Usually it sets at 8. Okay, it still sets at 8, but instead of 50-pound dumbbells, now it's 25-pound dumbbells. I know, super crazy, super easy. The cool thing is you'll be super recovered after that session. The next session you have, which is say next Monday, you do the same number of planned sets and reps and weight as you were anyway, because that fatigue is going to be lower. It's probably going to be a great workout. And then you're back to normal. You've brought the fatigue under control, at least for the next couple of weeks, usually, and you just progress as normal from there. All the sessions in the weeks after are totally fine. Now, that can work a few times. However, after about 3 to 6 weeks on average, if you're training hard with appropriate volumes and intensities, you're going to get into a situation where multiple movement patterns, you're pushing and you're pulling and you're squatting and vertical pulling, so on and so forth, they're going to have needed recovery sessions. You may have already taken them, and you'll get into a situation in which your whole mind and body system is just feeling beat up. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like you wake up in the morning for your deadlift workout and you're like, ugh. Like there's parts of you sore you didn't even think could be sore. And just as far as motivation to train and overall burden of the training process, you're like, holy crap, I am beat up. And there's nothing wrong with that. Perfectly predictable. Actually means you're doing a good job pushing the pace. When that happens, one thing is a lot of your RPEs are going to be crazy high in order to continue to progress, which means put a little bit more weight on the bar and still hit the target reps. Your ratings of perceived exertion are going to be like 9s and 10s where maybe you were hoping for 8s and 9s. They're just going to be at the peak limit. You're going to be hanging on by a thread and sometimes even underperforming, right? So you show up to the gym, you had, let's say a big deadlift workout, big squat workout, big bench workout, and all 3 of them went straight to hell. You're done. And it's not a recovery session done. You need a lot. You've accumulated a lot of fatigue. You got to bring it down big time. So what do? For one whole week, fresh new week. So if you start to flutter and things start to go bad and you know you need a deload week, finish that current week strong. Grind it. I know it sucks, but you signed up for this. The next week, what you do is for the first half of that week, you do the same planned sets and reps as usual, but with only 70% of the planned weight, right, of last week's weight. So if you did, 100 pounds last week for sets of 5. Now you're doing 70 pounds. Still pretty tough, but it's definitely not at that point where it's accumulating any more fatigue and some of the fatigue starts to fall. Still decent training, but really not cumulative anymore. Fatigue is starting to fall. Now, in the second half of the week, you're going to go from the same setup, same sets, and same reps as you were planned, but you're going to drop the load to 50% of what normally is, exactly like the recovery sessions. So now you have half a week of pretty easy sessions, not quite recovery, but 70%. And then the last half of the week is all recovery sessions. I mean, that might be like 2 or 3 recovery sessions in a row for everything. And at that point, you are going to be so ready to train, so healed, so fatigue reduced. Towards the end, it's going to be like, man, you're going to come into your Friday workout. You're like, I want to smash it. I want to smash it. Don't. Rest, wait, take Saturday off, Sunday off. Next Monday, you'll be able to get back into a fresh new mesocycle of progression, start putting more weight on the bar, and slowly move up and repeat the process. Folks, thanks for tuning in. See you next time for the next video.